having lived outside of the area that I worked in, I feel this, that if the gentleman shows up to work when he's supposed to, does the job that he's supposed to, it doesn't matter where he or she lives. I also agree with Mr. Johnson, because that was an item I was going to bring up. With today's technology, I don't think that it's an item that is going to affect how this town is run. He or she who shows up every morning at whatever particular time is their scheduled time and puts the work in that they're supposed to, I feel that there should be no restriction on where they live. If they're showing up, I have no problem with it. So I stand in support of this article. Again, having been a former public employee who lived outside of where he worked, but still showed up every day and did what was asked, I feel that that's the same here. We find that Mr. Monteri's here this evening, and I'm not saying that it's anything against him, like Mr. Johnson said. He's here this evening. He's here every day. I don't think that's an item. I think going forward, those would be the requirements that we ask of the person. I don't care where you live. Just show up when you're supposed to. And if they don't, we deal with it then. Thank you.
Oh, my name is Joan Blanchard. I live at 16 Patrick Road at Carter Green. I'm dealing with the town this year regarding building and development in the area, and I've noticed that...
You're going to have to speak up a little, ma'am.
My concern is that if you have a town manager who is not close to what is going on in the town and doesn't feel a resident's pain of what the decisions are that are being made in the town, there is a problem. There has to be a solid commitment that comes from a town resident or close thereby who knows what's going on. Well, not that Mr. Montes, present town manager, doesn't, I'm not saying he doesn't know, but I'm saying that I have a concern, and I know other people have a concern, when we have people making decisions for our town who don't live in our town, and we say basically it's because, well, why would they care? It's not affecting them. So I vote against this because the closer the better. If there's any kind of emergency or anything someday that you may need a town manager, you know, you don't want him 50 miles away. You want him closer by.
Yes, sir.
Thomas Churchill, 174 Apache Way. I'm strongly in support of this article. With all the communication we have now with emails, cell phones, mobile phones, everybody's in contact who knows the system 24/7. I'm sure the town manager knows how to use all these systems. Stall around, don't stall around, vote yes, and move on.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Moderator, I want to agree very strongly with the Chairman of the Board of Selectmen. I look at this as having nothing to do with Mr. Montori or any other individual who becomes a town clerk. The town manager. I went to the biggest job, sorry, Mr. Town Manager. And I can understand what they're saying. However, I'm going to take one thing, a snowstorm. You can't be down the Cape and know what the snowstorm is up here. I don't care what anybody tells you over the telephone. I'm asking you to use your own judgment, not my judgment, not Mr. Montori's, not the Board of Selectmen. Do you want your town manager to live farther than 50 miles away? And vote accordingly. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, I'm going to let Mr. Johnson speak. You've already spoken once. He's right here.
Does that mean I can't speak again?
No, you can. I just let, at this
Reply
point,
to
Mr.
this?
Johnson had risen to speak a second time before you did.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and I was actually rising to respond to the points that you made. So let me just say this. At the end of the day, while I respect your viewpoint with regard to the town manager understanding and, quote, feeling the pain that we all go through, I would say that there are ample checks and balances with respect to that point. The town manager, whoever that may be, is hired and managed by 5 of your fellow residents, the Board of Selectmen. We all are residents of the town. We all feel every ounce of pain that you feel every single day. More importantly, the ultimate check and balance here is the group of people with us this evening. Every article that's been presented that the town manager has drafted with his management group has been reviewed and supported by the Finance Committee, who scrutinizes everything, has been reviewed and scrutinized by the Board of Selectmen, and in other instances, other boards to the left and right of me up here tonight. At the end of all of that process, nothing happens, nothing goes forward unless you, the town meeting members, approve it. So no matter where the town manager lives, the last word is right here this evening. Thank you.
I would also like to comment that as far as the state-of-the-art electronic communications, et cetera, are concerned, what good would they do if they were down? And how would you communicate? And this could happen in an emergency. A lot of the seniors are not computer savvy. So you can speak all you want, but you're leaving out a large amount of people who vote in this town and have a right, okay, to hear about things in this town. I've been speaking to a lot of people who didn't even know that this meeting was happening tonight, okay? And somebody said, well, it's on the patch. Well, that's a large assumption to think that everybody read the patch announcement that this was happening. A lot of people in this town didn't know that this meeting was happening tonight.
Yes, Mrs. Muse.
Tricia Muse, 551 South Street. I am actually opposed to this article as well. I would like to actually, if I could change the whole charter, I would insist that all employees of the town who work in the town live in the town or very close. I will say, I would agree with this other woman that I don't believe administrators that do not live in this town are vested in this town. You may say, yes, you have all the selectmen watch over him or whatever. They don't feel the pain of the taxes going up every single time you have a town meeting. We do. And if you worked in this town, you may think a little differently about adding another $1 million to that school budget or another $1 million to that town budget. So I really am against this article.
Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, I want to emphasize that none of my comments are directed at this town manager or the previous town manager, who I believe were good town managers, and I assume that they will again appoint a good town manager, whoever is on the Board of Selectmen at the time. But this young lady brought up something. My TV was out over the weekend. Nobody came. My communication with my TV was gone. And when I called them up, they said there's so many problems down in South Carolina that they got to take care of them, and they're sending all their people down there. Now, anyone here who's lost their telephone, lost their computer, what a load of crap to say that always the communication is open. Baloney. You'll be up in Manchester with no communication with anybody, and you'll have a hell of a time getting down here. Use your head, not my head, not the chairman of the board.
Any other discussion? Seeing no other discussion, I'm going to take Mr. Carey's amendment first. Let me see if I can read this properly. Basically what he's doing is he's changing the word 10 and substituting the word 50. So the requirement would be that the town manager, once he or she hired, they would have to live within 50 miles of the town. So this, again, is a charter change, so it's going to require a 2/3 vote. So first of all, we have...
Moderator, a
Yes,
point
sir.
of order, please, Kevin. Kevin Donnelly, Westland Drive. Doesn't the amendment have to change this to take out that sentence that says 10 and to put in the sentence that says 50? Otherwise, you're deleting the 50-mile radius thing. I mean, the article won't make sense unless you delete that whole sentence.
Let me try reading what he wrote here,
Okay.
only because I'm an old man and I don't see very well. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to request the state legislature to amend the town special act charter by deleting the word. I'm going to need some help here, Mr. Carey.
Mr. Moderator, I'd be pleased to come back up. I thought it was clear. I still think it is. The only thing we're changing, yes, their article says to delete it. My amendment says only to change the word 10 to 50. But I'd be glad to step.
That's what I thought I said. Okay, so we're leaving the current section of the town bylaw the same. We're only changing the word 10 to the word 50. Hold on 1 second, all right?
Point of information.
Hold on 1 second, please. Yes, ma'am.
Barbara Flanagan, Pine Street, Tewksbury. Doesn't matter what words we change in the amendment if we're still going to delete the amendment.
I understand that.
I think what Mr. Carey wanted to do was to change the third sentence in this home rule petition to state 50-mile radius. He's not looking to delete anything. He's looking to change what's there. So I think you just have to change the word delete to the word change and 50, and that would be his amendment.
I understand.
Whether
You
people
know
want it
something?
or not.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess to get this straightened out, and we're back in 5 minutes. Thank you.
That's a good idea.
Call to order. But this is... Okay, let me try this again. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to submit a home rule petition to the General Court of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that if exact will amend the town's special act charter by deleting the word 10 and substituting the word 50 in the third sentence of section 5A. Is that correct, Mr. Carey? Yes. Okay. So we're required to take a two-thirds vote on this because this is a charter change? On the amendment?
I just would like something to say. If you have an article that's presented that says 10 miles away, you have to create a different article to vote on. That's a totally different article.
This is an amendment to the article itself, and we're going to vote on this.
Haven't
Thank you.
even voted to keep it in yet.
I've made my ruling. Please sit down.
Just as a point of information, Mr. Moderator, I don't think the young lady is aware that after we put the word 50 in, we can still turn the article down. You don't have to vote for this article, whether it says 10, 0, 50, or whatever it says. This is only going to change the vote on what you're voting on. And you
Right.
should do what I suggested. Vote your conscience, vote to not do it.
Anybody can certainly vote against this amendment. That's correct.
Problem is that you're changing it from a 10-mile radius to 50, which is a different subject altogether.
No, it
Okay?
isn't a different subject. It's just a change from 10 to 50. Let's proceed. Yes, ma'am.
Elizabeth Carey, 50 Langley Lane. I think it might be clearer if you inform this young lady that we're voting on an amendment first. And it only takes a majority vote.
Yes, ma'am. So that was what I thought I said to begin with. So yes, we are voting on the amendment first. It only requires a majority vote. I've read the amendment as submitted in writing by Mr. Carey. So, all those in favor of the amendment submitted by Mr. Carey, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Now, this amendment is a charter change, and it requires a two-thirds vote. Now we're going to vote on the article as amended, and this does require a two-thirds vote. So, I'm going to do this by standing count. So all those in favor of the article as amended, please indicate by rising. Counters, please count. All those opposed to Article 15 as amended, please rise. Counters, please count. Yes, 119, no, 22, required to pass 94. The article passes as amended. Article 16.
Article 16, motion to adopt.
Article 16, a motion to adopt. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Moderator, I rise in support of this article. I want to thank the town manager, the Board of Selectmen, and anyone who had anything to do with this. It's the right thing to do. There's no reason why we should be trying to tax the veterans for their meeting houses or where they assemble. I urge you all to vote for this article to accept the state statute, which will allow a rise in the amount of money of the value of the property, so they will not have to actually pay a tax. Thank you.
Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Paul McNaught, Sharon Street. I'm commander of the American Legion Post 259, and I'm here to support this article and strongly ask everybody for their support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay, we have this article before us. The Finance Committee made a motion to adopt. So this just requires a majority vote. So all those in favor of Article 16, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Unanimous vote. Article 17.
Moderator, we're going to defer to the Conservation Commission.
You defer to... You defer to the Conservation? Is that what you said?
Steve Sadwick, Director of Community Development here in the town of Tewksbury. Just to let everyone here know, the Conservation Commission had a meeting at 6:30 this evening and recommended adoption of this article as drafted.
Donna Balzar, 387 Troll Road. Since there was such a delay in actually having this putting into deeded to the town, have there been any steps that have been taken to make sure that in the future this won't delay as long as it has?
For all articles like this in the future, we're moving extremely quickly to get them recorded and the deeds put in place. So it happened much quicker, obviously, than this one, but we're staying on top of all of these issues and cleaning up.
And whose responsibility will it be to bring it to your attention to make sure the deed is made? You know, it's not up to you to go seeking for the, will be Conservation Commission that will notify you when they approve a certain section in a development?
It'll be the Community Development Office through the Conservation Administrator, Assistant Planner, the Director will bring it to my attention, and,
okay.
And then we'll move it forward.
Thank you.
Barbara Flanagan, Pine Street. Could you give us an idea where this land is and how we obtained it?
The land is near Bonnie Lane. Location is cited as behind Bonnie Lane near Bly Street. It's an 18-acre site. That's the location as seen on the assessor's records. Deeded to us in 2004 by the